Hello, welcome to Cybersecurity Unlocked. If you are watching on YouTube, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Please leave a comment, let us know your thoughts. I'm delighted to be joined by Moona Ederveen. She is the Executive Director for FS-ISAC based in London. Hi Moona, great to see you.
Yeah,
thanks for coming down.
Great to see you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, let's get straight into it then. So tell us your story. How did you get started?
Yeah, of course. Thank you. So, well, my journey in cybersecurity actually began when I was 16 and I started going to international cybersecurity conferences. So this was the Chaos Communication Congress in Berlin. And, you know, at the time, we didn't even have money for a hotel. So we actually slept on the floor if we slept at all. And then I met some people there, and at age 19, I got invited to go to DEF CON and Black Hat in Las Vegas by the cypherpunks. And they wanted me to get the opportunity to learn more about cybersecurity. And it really sparked this passion for me, this lifelong interest in learning about information security, really going to these conferences and meeting these people, because I met, for example, also Pete Shipley from the Cult of the Dead Cow. And at the time, he took me to Berkeley, where they had what was at the time one of the largest supercomputers in the world. So that was really cool. And just meeting these people, you know, I felt such a kindred spirit, such a sense of belonging, that it really inspired in me that conviction that when I make my career, I want to combine, you know, information security interest with my, interest in working with people, meeting new people, and really facilitating connections between them. So yeah, I loved learning about technology from an early age, all the possibilities that are there. And yeah, I feel very at home in my community.
Excellent. So that was kind of before cybersecurity became very kind of like hot and trendy and stuff, like 2011, 2012. So when was this, when you first sort of discovered?
When was I 19? Are you asking me my age?
Sorry, I don't think so.
It's on my LinkedIn, you can probably see. But yeah, it would have been about over 20 years ago. So
wow.
It's, I didn't immediately, you know, start a career in cybersecurity as I left high school. I was 19 when I finished my German A-levels, what we call Abitur. And I actually graduated second best of my year, but then I worked for a while and I had a lot of different hands-on technical roles. And eventually, you know, first of all, I installed Linux, I built a computer from scratch. And then eventually, because I speak 4 languages, I got into technical writing, which I saw as translating between people and technology, or between the techies and the end users. So again, it's that making connections, you know, the sort of a relationship management. And yeah, really, that's what I found very interesting at the time. And I studied as well. I did a bachelor's language and communication science in Amsterdam at the University of Amsterdam, and graduated with a first. And that was because I thought, even in technology, you know, communication is key. Good communication is crucial to anything we want to achieve. So for me, that has been an angle into cyber. Yeah.
And do you still get involved in, you know, on a technical level, like even today, like programming, or do you still hold an interest in that?
So I love talking to people who do that type of thing. I love learning about it in terms of, you know, my role. How do we defend the sector? How do we do collective defense? And I love learning about it. So learning definitely has been a lifelong, or a thread in my career journey. So yeah, that's what I do.
Okay, awesome. What advice, because obviously, you know, since you got started, I mean, it must have been a very kind of different industry to what it is today. I mean, it's emerged into this whole, you know, pillar and sector.
Yeah.
And very crucial as well. So a lot of, companies out there, particularly in financial services, that are heavily regulated around cybersecurity. What sort of advice would you give somebody that is looking to kind of, just break out of university, and, what skills should they, look to acquire, or certifications they should pick up?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. And I think these days there is so much that is available even for free. So breaking in the industry is definitely feasible. And I want to encourage people as well to think about this as a realistic career option. So first of all, I mean, we're at a podcast today. This resource is freely available. There are other similar resources available. That could be a great starting point. Then there are a ton of free and really good industry publications. So for example, when I first started out, I remember I was going line by line through the Verizon data breach investigations report. And I really, really studied that. And now, I work at FS-ISAC, where we actually contribute to that report. So these types of resources that are online are a great starting point. And, you do have to keep up with your learning. You have to know your stuff. You have to be a keen and constant learner. And then I would also say there is a large variety of free events that you can go to. So lots of different conferences, networking lunches, breakfasts, day conferences where you can learn about all the topics and build your network. Because I think, even if you're more on the introverted side, you do still want to build your network, grow your connections in the field, because you do work with people all the time. You need to be able to lean on those connections at times. And what I would advise is, you want to build your network in quiet times. Once it all starts going downhill, that is not the time to build your network. But with an organization like FS-ISAC, you've got that ready-made network where you can come to our events and, everybody's under the same NDA. They've got most likely similar interests to yourself. And you can then have that same kindred spirit that I felt at these conferences with or at our events. And that's really what I would recommend. You do need to have a good and strong network on top of all the learning.
Yeah, it's a good point, actually, because a lot of people that I've met sort of in the industry, particularly on the technical side, do tend to be a little bit more introverted. And when a time comes when they need to maybe network a little bit more or, applying for jobs, and they always say it's about who you know and, expanding on your network.
Yeah.
So it is something that I guess, quite unnatural maybe to particularly those that are introverted.
Yeah, but also I find that in threat intelligence, it's all about trust. For people to share threat intelligence with each other and for people to come together and develop best practice, we're not going it alone. Cybersecurity is not a solo sport. We have to leave, competitive thoughts outside the door as we enter that room, that trusted space where we develop this together as an industry. Because if you were trying to reinvent the wheel by yourself, you'd already be behind the curve. So only as a community are we strong enough to do that. And then I think it's not just about who you know, it's also about being able to speak up. So you have to find your own voice. And even if that's more difficult for you personally, you have to be seen, to be recognized for all that you're delivering and be able to then make those next steps in your career. Yeah, no, absolutely. And on the point of FS-ISAC, tell us how you came to work at, because you've been there now for, is it 7 years?
7 years.
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
I'm super proud of that, actually, because if you look at my LinkedIn, my roles before that were a lot shorter. So I was contracting for the longest time. And FS-ISAC just keeps engaging me. It's challenging. I love the pace. I have a wonderful team. My responsibility keeps growing. So I couldn't be happier. But before then, I think it was also beneficial to have all these shorter roles because, what I learned in terms of the theory, I then learned to apply in practice. And how is it applied at the different financial institutions we work with? So I was at, JP Morgan, Deutsche Bank, Nomura. I was at UBS. I loved UBS. But also my first actual information security role was at ABN AMRO. And that happened in 2009. I was convinced I really wanted to make cybersecurity my career. And so I did an internship at the time with ABN to be able to get that chance to make that full-time move. And then I was really lucky. They were able to offer me a position. I became an information security officer. And I loved my time at ABN AMRO. For me, I've never looked back. It was always cybersecurity in finance. That's where I'm happy. That's what I love. And I'm sure we'll get a bit more to why that is. But yeah, so from all these different sort of brief contracting roles, I had my eye on the FS-ISAC role for some time because I knew this is a place where I can combine my love of, meeting new people and being at the forefront of threat intelligence, literally at the cutting edge with that relationship management skill that I sort of had. And for me, it's always been threat intelligence is the area I love the most of cybersecurity. I think it's so exciting. For me, it's kind of like you're in a spy novel, or at least you get to help, make the world a safer place. And then, so you have that aspect of it's really exciting, but also at the same time, we are protecting tangible assets in financial services, right? Why was the bank robbed? Because that's where the money was. Yeah. So yeah, I've always loved working in finance. It's just that that's what it is for me. And then, the FS-ISAC role came up. Unfortunately, that was actually at a time where I'd just gotten pregnant with my son. And so I felt I had to turn it down. And I was very disappointed about that timing. But, it's how it always goes. I think I was pregnant and I got offered 3 really good roles. And I was like, and I can't take any of them right now. So, but during my maternity leave, I interviewed with Bill Nelson, who was then the CEO of FS-ISAC. And he offered me this role. UK and Ireland regional director. And from there, I have grown my role to now look after 23 countries and being executive director Europe.
Wow, fantastic. Quite a journey. And what is it the FS-ISAC, for those that don't understand, or there's misconceptions out there, what is it the FS-ISAC actually does?
Yeah, of course. Well, thanks for asking. So FS-ISAC is, I don't know, maybe the industry's best kept secret. Because as we said, our members can be sometimes slightly more introverted. And, if you work in an intelligence, you might be very private with the information we share. So, it's good to be able to get the word out that at FS-ISAC, what we do is actually sector resilience. That is our mission. So we protect the global economy, the functioning of the global economy, and thereby all the people that rely on financial services. Trust in financial services and the proper functioning of the markets is so important because all of us, we rely on financial services. And for me, I'm very mission driven. So when I wake up in the mornings, when I go into work, I'm like, I get to protect my community. I get to protect my family. And for me, that is really meaningful work. So interestingly, we've covered that some people might not have heard of FS-ISAC yet, but actually, if you want to illustrate the scale, in the UK, we have about, pretty much all of the financial institutions here are a member already, and same for the US, where we were first founded 25 years ago.
Right. Okay, fantastic.
It's a very large membership. So in EMEA, we have members in over 60 countries, 60. And I look after 23 of them, and I've got a colleague who looks after the rest. Right.
Okay. And how big is the team in Europe?
The team has grown massively. So I remember when I started 7 years ago, there were 3 of us, my 2 wonderful original colleagues in the UK, and now we are close to 20 people, and we are hiring more. So I think by the end of this year, hopefully we'll be just over 20. So it's been a massive expansion, and we've got 3 offices in EMEA now. So we've got London, which was the first. Then we've got Amsterdam in the Netherlands, and we've not got a full office, but we have quite a few people working for us in Switzerland.
Right. Okay.
4 offices around the globe.
Right.
Singapore as well.
Of course. Yes, I'm familiar with FS-ISAC from my time in Singapore too. Yes. Yeah, no, it's a great organization, and what are the kind of the key sort of missions that you're going to be taking into 2024?
Yeah, so for us, it's all about, bolstering the resilience of the sector. And we do that by dividing our services in 3 pillars. The most or best known of them is threat intelligence. I'm sure we'll talk more about that. But also then there's security, where we have things like guidance, best practice, events and meetings where the members can learn from each other, but also develop best practice, because again, we want to be able to put out guidance to the sector. And that's really ranges from the largest to the smallest. So our members, if you look at the how the membership is basically created, we've got banks and we've got insurers, we've got everything in between from the largest to the smallest. It ranges from payment to processes to MSSPs and literally everything in between. So they can all be members and participate in these resilience efforts, in the threat intelligence sharing and alerting that we do, but also the security, the events that we do. And I think, we could maybe talk a bit more about exercising and resilience as well when we, as we go through the conversation today, because it's such a hot topic at the moment.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, well, staying with the threat intelligence part, because I have, as a recruiter, I have noticed there has been a little bit of a drop off in the threat intelligence market in terms of the demand.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I've spoken to various different people and everybody has their own kind of take on it. And maybe particularly if you're building a cyber program from scratch, maybe threat intelligence is either seen as maybe a bit of a luxury, or maybe it's something that we can easily outsource. What's your take on that? And I guess to sort of cap things off, where do you think threat intelligence lies in 2024 in terms of the emerging threats, maybe with like AI and emerging tech?
Yeah, I think threat intelligence, from my view, and I guess I'm a bit biased, but it's more unmissable than ever because of the current threat landscape. So the threats are proliferating, the impacts that they have are expanding at a scary scale and pace. And really, if you have a threat intelligence team, you have to maximize the use of it. And sometimes we find that there are so many more areas where you can apply threat intelligence that might not be as intuitive, but we really want, our members to be able to do that. So business decision making, risk management, security awareness, all of these different functions have to be fed by threat intelligence to be as effective as possible. And then if you're looking at, new threats, or maybe not completely new, but up and coming or evolving threats like artificial intelligence and machine learning provide, then you really want to be able to take these new scenarios into your exercising and resilience. So FS-ISAC, for example, offer a number of opportunities where the members can do, let's say, virtual tabletop exercises or hands-on keyboard cyber range exercises. And then we also do cross-regional exercises, cross-sector exercises, and public-private crisis coordination exercises. So all of these can take any of the new and evolving scenarios into mind to help the members, benchmark their readiness, check that they're prepared, but also improve their response. So whatever happens, you've got those relevant scenarios to exercise.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's one of those things that's never going to go away, and it's essentially it's a moving target, isn't it? The evolution of technology means that the threat landscape is always going to be changing and evolving in itself. So you've got to be prepared and ready.
Absolutely, yeah. I like that. It's it's a step game, isn't it? One after the other. So where we're now seeing these advances in AI or machine learning, which can make certain threats more effective, and certain tactics or techniques that are already working, these are now evolving to be possibly more efficient, slightly harder to detect by humans. But at the same time, our defense mechanisms, which are in many cases already working, can also be taught by these new tools and make use of these new technologies to become more effective. And you could think of, let's say, self-defending firewalls or self-healing software, machine learning in firewalls that helps you detect these new patterns more easily.
Yeah, exactly. And that, again, another healthy side to the industry. I think there's so much headspace for innovation and new ideas, and companies that can come to, and existing companies that can innovate and provide exciting
Absolutely.
solutions.
Yeah, it is a very exciting sector, and there's so much happening. I would say if we just go back to the basics from, this is all new and super exciting, I do think a lot of the protection mechanisms do come down to the human and education.
Yes.
So that's also one thing I would say where it comes to, the new threats of AI and machine learning. We really do want to make sure that people of all walks of life and all different stages of lives are educated about these still pretty, run-of-the-mill fraud types like romance scam, the WhatsApp scams, so vishing with a V, fake video call, fake voice calls, but also phishing with a PH, which could become a lot more effective, because what you used to have as checks and balances, like is it bad grammar, is the spelling atrocious? Yeah. All of these things can be improved with AI and machine learning readily. Yeah. And that capability is put into the hands of more people. So we all have to be probably more alert and more mindful in how we deal with technology so that we can stay safe and secure as a society.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, as somebody that has been in the industry for an incredibly long time, and you've watched it kind of evolve and change, and I'm sure when you first got into the industry, it was probably very, sort of male dominated. I do think that it is getting better, and I think the balance is particularly very good in Europe. Having, somebody that has recruited in Asia, I do still think there is a bit of an imbalance there, but in Europe, I think it's a lot better. In the US, I think it's really good. Mm-hmm. What's your take on, so the D&I initiatives, as they stand today, and what do you think could be done to improve them?
Yeah. Well, first of all, this is a very thoughtful question. I really appreciate you asking, because you're absolutely right. When I started out in cybersecurity, it was mainly men who were in a position to, recognize talent and give me a chance and a step up. I would say in threat intelligence particularly, I have seen a better ratio of male and female than maybe in some of the more traditional or in the other technology areas. So in threat intelligence, that I would say is a positive for sure. And the industry is taking a lot of steps in terms of diversity and inclusion. So it's very much a priority for our members, for us. But certainly more can be done. So I would say as an industry, we've learned good lessons, but there is more to do, more to learn. And for that, we need to keep communicating. Now, in terms of diversity and inclusion, FS-ISAC has their own sponsorship program where we call it the Women in Cyber Scholarship. And that's where we support, together with the members, up-and-coming female cyber talent, and they get actually a bursary of $10,000 and a free and expenses-paid trip to one of our summits, alongside of this sort of very coveted industry mentorship. And so the industry mentor, someone from our membership, actually, they pay these $10,000 per student to support them in their cyber journey, to help them build the next talent pipeline, build the next generation of cyber talent. And now, you're not going to believe this, but just earlier this month, when we were in Orlando at our conference, we had 30 winners, 30 female cyber talent there. And, it was amazing talking to them, very inspiring. And I so look forward to watching their careers grow and also supporting them where I can.
That's fantastic. No, that's really good to hear. And I do think that, the next generation, I think, will be well balanced, because, tech is now cool, isn't it? People, people are naturally drawn to it.
Yeah, I think so. I would hope so. But one of the things I personally want to do as well is present more at, schools to try and inspire the young generation. Because I guess it's not all about, just gaming and cool. It's also about having the right role models there. If maybe you're not into gaming, but still technology can be a valid choice for you. And I know you asked earlier, how can you maybe break into the cyber arena? So I would say these lateral moves from, let's say, project manager or business analyst, business development, community manager, all of these are also relevant and valid pathways into the world of cyber, where you can combine different interests. So I would certainly love to, help inspire that young generation to keep the talent pipeline flowing.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. Do you have, because I think mentors are so important as well. I know sometimes, asking for help or asking for advice can be seen as sort of a weakness. I mean, I personally have 4 or 5, mentors in my own industry that I, always call upon if I've got like a problem or an issue, whether it's internally or externally. Mm-hmm. What do you have mentors yourself? How important
are they to you?
I
would say I might not call it mentors formally, but I have absolutely had so many people, and way too many to name now, that have helped me in my career. I mean, starting from, inspiring me initially to think, I want to check out this cybersecurity thing. I want to go to this conference and learn. And then, point me in the right direction for my career, but also then generously share knowledge and advice throughout my career. Absolutely, I would not be here without the help of many, many different mentors, and I'm grateful to all of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And after such a fantastic career, I'm sure you'd be a valuable mentor to other people that coming into the industry.
Certainly hope so. And you mentioned asking for advice. I would definitely advise people coming up in the industry, ask for help, be willing to accept help if you get it, but then also, it's important to show gratitude and pay it forward.
Yeah.
So I feel I work at an organization now where I get to pay it forward, because we, for example, we publish also on our website learning materials that are really cutting edge thought leadership, and that is published even if you're not a member, but it can still support sector resilience. And we've got our events, of course, where people can come and learn. So yeah, for me, that is a very positive thing. Yeah.
Okay, great. And what other sort of career aspirations do you have? Where do you see yourself, further down the line? I mean, you've, 7 years with FS-ISAC, which is, really fantastic, especially in this day and age where, people are very, 1 year, 2 year, they can, jump around quite a lot. So you've clearly found a home.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you'd like to do?
Well, when you say home, that describes it perfectly. I mean, I love my job. I love that I get to do what I love. I love that it's mission driven. And so if ever I were to change, I would still want to be doing something mission driven and probably quite similar, maybe, cyber advisor on a board or something. For me, this job really ticks all the boxes. It's engaging, it's challenging, my responsibility keeps growing, and I have this wonderful team. But I would like to do more in terms of inspiring the next generation. So presenting at schools, for example. And also a key passion of mine is learning about different cultures. So I would say I would love to, keep working internationally and, ideally grow my regional remit.
Yeah. So you mentioned you speak 4 languages as well, don't you?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which languages do you speak?
So English, German is my native language. Then I speak fluent Dutch. In fact, I studied Dutch at the University of Amsterdam. So when I got my first, it was in Dutch. And then there's Spanish. My Spanish used to be better, but I'm also self-taught Italian and French, so I speak a bit of that.
Wow.
But unfortunately, I don't speak any of the Asian languages. So there's that.
Okay, is that to come then?
Hopefully, yeah.
More languages?
That would be awesome. Yeah, I would love that.
All right, fantastic.
I think also one of the Nordic languages is definitely on the cards. Maybe Norwegian or Swedish would be good. At the moment, I'm practicing my Swiss German.
Oh, really?
I'm going to Switzerland. Yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yes.
I guess, lots of...
So High German is quite different from Swiss German. So I'm working on that.
Fantastic. All right. Well, that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming down. It's really great to hear your story and hear your industry insights. And hopefully we'll do this again soon. Thanks everybody for listening and watching. And we'll see you on the next episode.